And I think a big realization that I had also was like, when you're chasing something, what is it that you're chasing? Like really getting to the bottom of it. You're chasing money. You want success so that you can have money, so that you can keep doing it, because it's not easy. It's not cheap to do this, right? So I think when I really realized that I was just like chasing money and chasing hits, I just stopped. I was just like, I'm never going to do this for money again.
It's Tuesday. You know what that means?
I do not know what that means.
It's another episode of On the Porch with From Porch Music.
Season 4. Sorry, I'm still stuck on that.
I know. I think we're going to be stuck on that for a whole season. Today on the pod, we have Americana folk country artist Kyle McKearney join us.
Kyle has already won a CCMA for Alternative Country Album of the Year for A Traveler's Lament.
Lament?
Sorry, Kyle. We had a great conversation with him. He has lived many lives in the music industry, and that was really cool.
That's really putting it lightly.
It truly
like,
is.
He started doing, like, with pop music, punk music, rock music.
He played guitar.
Musicals?
Yeah.
What musical was it? I forget. No. We Will Rock You.
Yes. He's played Madison Square Garden as a guitar player. That's so cool. He did give some really great advice for like putting your head down and making music you love and ignoring the noise, which he obviously acknowledges is really hard too. But I think as he is releasing his third album, To the River, I think he's kind of figured that out. He's releasing music that's authentic, that he knows is true to him. And
releasing music for himself.
Yeah, which is really cool. We hope you enjoy our chat with Kyle McKearney. I can't believe this is the first time we're having you on the podcast. Kyle McKearney, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
No complaints.
A few complaints.
What are your complaints?
It's cold out, it's rainy out, but we're inside, so I guess that's not really a big complaint.
Could be worse.
Could be worse.
So we have a lot to cover today, a lot of ground to cover. I've decided to call this little segment Back to Basics, and that means you tell us who you are, where you're from, how you grew up, and how you got into music.
Did you get all that?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll remind you. we missed some.
I'm originally from northern British Columbia. It was Fort St. John. There's an oil town up there.
How far north is that?
It's far. So it's 2.5 hours north of Grand Prairie, if you know Grand Prairie in Alberta. Yeah, it was also cold. I'm kind of a northern guy, I guess. I've just always been in areas with that kind of climate. I'm just comfortable with it. Yeah, Fort St. John was like 20,000 people, I think, something like that. And mostly just industry, like oil industry, and beautiful place though. Like in the summer, it's gorgeous up there. My grandfather, he won a ranch in a card game, I think the story is, or he traded someone a property from Alberta, and so he moved up there and homesteaded a ranch north of Fort St. John, and that's where my dad and his sisters and grandpa and grandma grew up, and they are musicians and played weddings and dances, and the kids started playing in the family band when they were really young. So yeah, they grew up doing that, and my growing up wasn't much different. Up there, I was always surrounded by.
Were you trading property in a card game?
No, I was enjoying the property that was won in the card game, though.
You know what? That's good.
Yeah, it seems like kind of an all-in moment. But no, I didn't win anything like that. It just meant that I grew up just around music a lot, and country and bluegrass and, Western and folk. That's kind of what they did. It was all that kind of music. So that's what I remember and what I, grew up with before I could choose my own music, And when I started to choose my own music, I really loved the Beatles, and I loved, rock music. I got into Offspring and Green Day, and during that era, and then the grunge stuff, and Nirvana was big. I loved that. I used to play it in the high school bands and stuff. And
did you pick up a guitar first, or did you start singing first?
No, I sang for it. My dad tried to teach me chords and guitar stuff when I was really young, like 5 or 7. Or both. I think both, actually, now that I think about it. I distinctly remember the day. I was 10 years old, and I don't know what was different that day, but I just picked it up and it just clicked. And I remember that moment vividly. And then I couldn't put it down after that. I played for 6 hours a day every day and learned every song ever and loved it. So that's kind of when that happened, when I was about 10.
Did it kind of become a bit of an outlet?
Yeah, it was more a love. It was more like an obsession and a passion and it was my identity. And it was, yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it.
So let's set the scene as a teenager and you're playing in bands. Like, what are those bands playing? Where are you playing? Because I'm picturing like the local bar and perhaps if you're in a small town, the school dance. Am I on the right path or no?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We were playing those kinds of things, and it was fun. In the town, they had a talent show every year, and we would go play that every year. So that was really fun because you got to play in the nice theater, and there was a big crowd, and so that was really cool. Yeah, we played everywhere. We played anywhere we could. Yeah, school functions. I played some parties and dances, and we traveled around a little bit too. Like we would go to Chetwynd sometimes, or Dawson Creek, or out of town. It was really fun. I had a crazy teenage experience. I left home when I was 14 years old, and I went and lived with some of my friends from school, and they were musicians as well. And so we kind of lived in this house. It was kind of as you would imagine it, where teenagers are running the roost, and it was a bit wild, but lots of playing and just lots of dreams.
What were the funniest? What'd you call yourselves? What were your funny band names?
Oh man, I think my first band when I was like 11 years old with my little brother, we were called the Young Riders.
Oh, that's cute.
That is cute.
Yeah, we had shirts and everything. And then the next band, I was in a band called Blacktop. I was in a band called Synergy. I was in a band called Society. I was in a band called I think that was most of them for the most part.
None of those are lame.
No, it definitely sounds like
How'd you sleep that?
like punk rock music.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were doing. We were writing songs, and it was kind of all mostly rock. It was
So you were
cool.
already writing songs when you were a teenager too.
I was writing songs when I was 10. When I first started playing guitar, that's what I love to do.
So where did the transition to more of the Americana, folky, country kind of vibes come into play?
That happened much later because in my 20s, like out of high school, like right out of high school, I moved to Nashville because my dad lived there. My dad spent 8 years in Nashville trying to make it as a country artist. And so that was really neat for me. I got to go there a few times, for the summer or whatever when I was a kid, and then I got to move there after high school. Just see a lot of how it all worked, and just experience those musicians and songwriters, and just be in that ecosystem for a while. It was my education, and I loved it, and I loved it for a year, I think, and then I left. I moved to Vancouver. Just you can only live with your dad for so long. And so I left for Vancouver and joined a rock band called Mr. Green. And we played a lot for years and just carried forward and was in and out of bands and just trying to survive at that point. I was like so broke and poor and living on my own again. And I ended up in Calgary and I had a pop band before. It started off as a rock band, and we had a top 30 hit in Canada in my rock band.
No way.
When was this? Without giving away your age.
2012. I'm 40. Yeah, like 2012.
What was the band? What was the song?
Yeah, what the heck?
It was called Hard Honey, and the song was called Hard Honey as well.
Because this is like prime me being right into the rock music scene.
Yeah. So it was like we were more of a classic rock sound, like kind of sounded like AC/DC meets, I don't know, something from the East. It was cool. It was fun, and we had a hit, and it was just kind of at that moment when rock wasn't doing very well anymore, and it was hard, and we were trying to shop it, and it wasn't landing, and so we kind of morphed into this pop band called The New Electric, and we had another hit. We had another radio hit, and got to tour a lot. And we toured with Nick Carter and toured with.
That is pop as hell. That's
Yeah,
really
that was
cool.
pop. Yeah,
That's-
I was not good at that. I didn't like. Yeah, I just always felt like I was, I don't know, pandering and lying. And then yeah, so the pop band morphed into kind of a alt pop band called Crowns. And we had another shot at the US and at, you know, we were in conversation with Scooter Braun, and he was gonna fly us to Coachella and sign our band and to his new label and stuff. And then he went to book our flights and saw our passports and how old we were, and he was like, "No, I'm not signing you. Sorry, you're too
Oh
old
man,
to be playing pop music."
Are you too old or too young? Wait, what?
he said too
I
old.
was too old. Yeah, I was like 32 at that time.
You probably dodged a bullet anyways.
Yeah, it's possible. I think I'm thankful for it.
Totally.
I was sad at the time because we were really
course.
excited about that, but it was yeah, it just wasn't what I wanted to do anyway. And then after that happened, it was the whole thing kind of fizzled. Like my brother and I have been playing together for so many years and so many kicks at the can and so many different bands and records, and that I was just done. You know, I just didn't want to do it anymore. I was tired of chasing songs and just constantly morphing and changing and being something else. I hated it. And so I just I quit. I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. But I needed to make money, you know, I needed to work. So I got the opportunity to go and play guitar on the We Will Rock You tour, like the Queen musical.
Cool.
Fun.
Yeah, it was cool. So I jumped on that and toured North America for 6 months, like 160 shows in 6 months around, you know, US and Canada. And I got to play at Madison Square Garden like 4 nights and got to play
Wow.
the Microsoft Theater in LA, and it was just cool. So I got to experience, like, you know, as a guitar player in a musical,
Yeah.
some of these really cool things and venues and experiences. And I think the whole time, probably since the rock band, I had always been writing these other songs, and I was like, man, if I ever, you know, retire from music, or this is what I want to do. I want to just have a band that's like this, like the Eagles, you know, that's like kind of like country rock. And then on that tour, it really started to like manifest. I was just writing a lot still. I always write. So I was just working on the songs, and I started to get a vision, and I started to like really see this thing. And then, yeah, I got off that tour and started it.
Wow. The musical versatility that you've had from like pop, rock, musicals is very insane. Like that's really cool.
It's all just music at the end of the day, you know? It's like I'm a music lover, and I like all kinds of music, you know?
So you got off that tour and then decided that you're going to pursue more of the sound that we hear now, or has it evolved even since then?
I don't think I had any. See, that was the point. That was the beauty of it, is that I just wanted to make a record for me. I just wanted to write songs and have no outside pressure or, you know, thought even. I didn't want to think about anyone else. I didn't want to think about what anyone would think about it. I didn't care anymore. I was just done. And so, yeah, that's what I did. And some people liked it, and I was lucky. But I just keep that space now. So every time I make a record or write, I try not to concern myself at all with anything outside of my tiny little bubble. I just stay in that bubble until it's done.
That's probably the healthier way to do it than trying to chase something.
And I think a big realization that I had also was like, you know, when you're chasing something, what is it that you're chasing? Like really getting to the bottom of it, you know? You're chasing money. You know, you want success so that you can have money, so that you can keep doing it, because it's not easy. It's not cheap to do this, right? So I think when I really realized that I was just like chasing money and chasing hits, I just stopped. I was just like, I'm never going to do this for money again, because it just takes the joy out of it for me. and it kind of, I guess, with the idea of making money, it just takes the joy out of it. And I think that as soon as I stopped doing that and I started just, doing it to do it, it felt like when I was a kid again. I felt that connection to it and that joy. It's like just doing it because I enjoy it,
That makes sense. I guess like you've had this like very like we're talking about, like your sound now is definitely like a fusion of Americana and some folk and country. Living in Calgary and around Calgary, that's like the best place to be making like whatever kind of country music you want too. So what's that community been like? And you live in Airdrie, but obviously it's not too far away. So what's that community like in Calgary now?
Yeah, it's awesome. I think that when you're surrounded by farms and wheat fields and mountains and cowboy hats and boots, I don't know. Yeah, there's just something about that inspires, and you feel like you're, a part of that culture in Canada. We don't have, it's funny, I would say that in Canada it's like it's everywhere, but it's also just a little different, It's different here than it is in the States. And I think that Calgary is the best place for country in Canada,
Totally.
Yeah, we have the Stampede. Come on.
So your wife is a musician too, no? She sings with you sometimes. How'd you guys meet, and was it like a creative thing that you met, or was it something you're like, hey, you have a nice voice, you have to sing with me?
I think a bit of both, maybe. I think that, like, we met young. We've been together for 18 years, and Sarah was 19 and I was 23. She had just gotten out of dental school, and it was pre like successful rock band, and we met at Vern's Tavern in Calgary. And the story goes, her friend was there to see the band that we were opening for and dragged Sarah along because, she didn't want to go by herself, and they were good friends. And yeah, that's how we met, and we just started hanging out. And I think eventually we were singing a Beatles song around the table or something. There was always that going on. And Sarah was singing along and singing harmony, and I was just like, shit, I have to marry you. Yeah, she could sing, and it was really cool. A good connection. And and so we always just sang together after that. We always just kind of, we did some cover bands and fun things. And she was part of one of my first bands for a while, and then didn't do it for a long time while I was up doing these other things. And then when it came back to it, it was really cool because when I decided to do country, Americana, alt country, I was like, this is sweet because you can be in the band because it's what she sounds like, and she loves country. So yeah, it was a no-brainer. Yeah, she's been on every record and plays with me every show. It's awesome.
That's a really special thing to be able to share with each other.
Yeah, it's cool, and it just makes sense. You don't miss each other because you're on the road together. It's just cool for me that she gets to experience what that life is like after being home and maybe wondering about it while I was out there.
Did she also have aspirations to be a musician, like a professional musician, or is it kind of a whole new world?
No, she didn't want any of that, but she just she loves it and she's good at it, and she likes when we do it together, I guess.
Does that mean you've discovered musical inclinations in at least one of your sons already, or not quite?
Not right now, but they love music. You can tell. I could tell right when they were little babies just how they respond to it and listen to it. It's just different. I can tell that they'll likely play something. And they already sing. My oldest son, Saban, he's 8 and he sings. He's a really good singer.
Huh. Family band in the works, I think. He's almost 10, so I think you should wait to teach him guitar till he's 10, because that's when it clicked for you. So maybe that's when it clicks for him, right?
Yeah, maybe.
The McKearneys.
The McKearney. It's easy.
So you've had a pretty big couple of years. A lot of great music coming out, been touring across the country, playing lots of shows. And you also had one of your songs appear on the TV show Heartland.
They did 4 of my songs in that episode, and yeah, the band played in the show, and it was cool. And they said my name. It was awesome.
That has to be a first time thing for you, right?
No, it was, I've done that before, but this was the first time that it wasn't a cover or like, someone else's music, where we were playing my music and they were saying my name in the show. It was really cool.
Yeah, that must feel different. But also, do you watch back and like, wow, Like that we got to do that day. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun to watch it and show my kids, and yeah, they did a good job of it. So it was enjoyable to see. It was cool.
Totally. I think we should talk about your music now. So was it your previous album that came out in 2022 or 2023? You won Alternative Country Album of the Year at the CCMAs for that album, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about like alternative country and how many forms of it are becoming so much more popular, and maybe this segues into a conversation around like you and Nolene Hoffman collaborating on some of your music too, and she's kind of shot up over the last year too, but this alternative country that's like being welcomed and embraced now is really cool and exciting. I know you've mentioned you're making the music for you and you live in your bubble when you're creating it, so it's something you truly love, but is there a validation from the industry that you feel and that you're like, I like that they like what I'm doing regardless of the fact that I wasn't asking for it?
Oh, for sure. I just stay in my bubble until it's done, and then I put it out there and hope to God they like it, you know? I just try not to let it influence me while I'm creating it, because
For
then
sure.
it feels dishonest. I love the adoration and the community and the support. Everyone's so kind in country music. It's a lot different than the other genres I've played in. And it's like a big family, and I love that. I love connecting with people and like-minded people, and seeing other people do cool things and have successes and stuff. It's fun to watch, and it gives you something to do. You know?
Totally. Totally. So now that you've got your newest single out, To the River, that's actually the title track for your upcoming album, which is on its way in April. How are you evolving as a writer, as an artist, as you are releasing this third album?
I think I'm improving. I can hear it when I listen to the first record, second record, third record. I can hear that I'm getting better at writing, and that I'm getting better at singing and playing. So that's really neat. I like that. I like to, get better at the craft. And I've always been hyper focused on that. And I think that it's become more about the substance and the song and story than the delivery of it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I feel like in my first record, I was just singing a lot, like over singing a lot. I don't know. I needed to get it out. And then this third record, I feel like is just more laid back in that way, and more about the music and the story.
That makes sense.
It's getting older. That's what happens.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's wiser. You're getting wiser.
There you go.
Jen and I were in the kitchen earlier and we were grooving to the river, in like there's a really fun drum beat in there.
Yeah, it's a cool song. I'm glad you like it. It's one of my favorites on the record for sure.
Going through the track list, we noticed that you have a few really frequent collaborators in terms of who you write with. You have Lydia Sutherland and Aaron Pollock show up quite a few times. I think it was, so far from what I've seen, 4 or 5 co-writes there. What about working with those two gels with you? Like, what's that process like with the three of you?
I think we kind of clicked right away, because I feel like they just got what I was doing. And lots of time when you get in a room, songwriters are trying to make money too and earn a living. And so I feel like I go in those rooms and just feels like they're trying to craft a hit. And so it took me a lot of testing co-writers and hanging out to find people that I was comfortable with, because I need co-writers to just kind of like see what I'm doing and get it and help it, rather than steer it to like a commercial or bubblegum lane. So Aaron and Lydia are great at that. They have lots of great ideas and are able to just volley what I'm doing and run with it.
I've noticed with a lot of Lydia's songs that she can fit a word into any space.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
She is. Along with your new record, you're also hitting the road in Western Canada for a tour. That's great because it's January and you've already got your springish booked out, so that's kind of nice. What are you looking forward to about hitting the road?
I like all of it, really. I like I like the adventure. I like being out there. It's like its own world. You kind of get into this mode with everyone, and it's a lot of fun. I like hanging out, and playing the shows is the payoff.
Totally.
It's the beautiful part.
Is there anywhere you're going that you haven't been yet?
No, there's nowhere. Oh yeah, actually, I've never played in Duncan.
Where is that?
Uh, Duncan, BC. It's on the island. Duncan, BC. So that's
Nice.
and Sarah grew up there, so we're kind of excited to go
wow.
back. We're gonna drive past her childhood home, and
Oh.
yeah, it'll be fun.
Where do the kids go when you're on the road?
Usually with grandparents.
Yeah.
Yeah, with my mom or Sarah's mom, and yeah, they'll come and stay at our house and look after the kids, or the kids will go to their house and
Nice.
hang out. So yeah, there's been a lot of that over the last couple of years. I want to take them. I'm planning to take them. Another thing I did in my 20s is I bought an old Greyhound bus, and I gutted it like to the studs and built a tour bus out of it. It was kind of one of my first reno projects, and yeah, I think we're gonna get that going this year and use it again.
Are you gonna drive, or are you gonna find someone to drive?
I drive it. Yeah.
You drive it?
Whoa.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I usually drive it.
And you also just said that was one of your first reno projects. What else did you? What does that mean? What else have you got hiding?
I love that stuff. Like I love construction. I love building and learning how to, do house things. So I've done a lot. I've done, several vans. I used to convert vans into cool, nice renoed living spaces, and I did the bus, and I've done houses. Like I've renovated this whole house, and our last place I did some stuff, quite a bit of stuff.
Who were we talking to recently that also did this? Tim from Tim and the Glory Boys. He also built his bus, and
cool.
he was also saying that he will often build immense sets for
his own stage
for their shows that they have to lug around the country.
No, they hate it because it has to go on there's a big moose involved. There's shit he's bought on Facebook that nobody's happy about, but yeah, he's creative and handy too, like that. Yeah, that's funny.
Nice.
I forgot about that.
You should build some elaborate set for your show.
And get somebody else to haul it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the last thing we want to do is go through some of your catalog, and you're going to tell me what the vibe was, like what you were feeling that day when you were writing, or what it was like putting it out. Just kind of give us an overview of where you were at during that time of putting something out. Okay?
We got to find a name for this segment at some point.
I know.
We'll get there eventually.
Okay, I'm going to start with an easy one that is, I think, well loved anyways. Let's go with Mercy. Mercy
was one of the only songs that doesn't have a big story. That was kind of a song that, yeah, nailed it. That song was more just a songwriting session, and I had the idea, and I just thought that the chorus was hooky and fun. I just wanted to write something upbeat, and so Lydia kind of took it, and we spun it, into the idea that I think it's like show me mercy by letting me go or being mean to me so that I don't feel, attached still. It's a cool concept. I like that song.
No, it definitely is. Okay. What about Devil Water?
Devil Water is a song that was a lick, like a riff that I had for a long time. That was one of the OG songs that I wanted to develop. And, I think I've had many stints with drinking and alcohol. It's just it's everywhere in this industry, all day, every day. And I've been in the industry since I was, a teenager. And so I've drank a lot. And that song was I was feeling at the time, what do you even do? How do you stop? Because you won't get any business done, and you won't be able to meet anybody because everyone does this. This is just what they do. So do you just surrender to the fact that you're going to be a, brutal alcoholic forever? That's the question. That's kind of what Devil Water is about.
Next one.
Good time. It's a good time.
I have no idea. I've never experienced it.
Please.
Next song, Whispering Pines.
Whispering Pines. That was, I was working in the oil patch So I was in camp and I was working on the Trans Mountain pipeline out here, and my shifts were odd. It was a weird job because I was doing security for the pipeline equipment, and so I would drive around and I would get up at 3 a.m. and work till 8 in the morning, and then sleep, and then get up again at 4 p.m. and then work till 8 p.m. So it was like this, split in your sleep and in your day, and it was I wrote a lot of songs driving around on that job. I'll tell you that. That was a good thing. And I enjoyed it for the most part, but just being away from Sarah and Sabin when Sarah was like fully pregnant, ready to have Jones, our little guy. I missed her a lot and wanted to be there for them. And so Whispering Pines was just I wrote it in the truck while I was out on the in the field. So
What about Wedding Day?
Wedding Day, that what did I have? I can't remember what I had of the song, but that was a lot. That song was a lot of help from Aaron and Lydia because I had that verse. That's what it was. Yeah, I had the verse and I had some of the words, of the verse. I remember when the daisies were falling blue. All those lines, and I didn't know what it was about yet. And it was actually Aaron and Lydia that had the idea for Wedding Day and about writing it about watching someone that you were supposed to marry somebody else. So that's nothing that I've experienced before in real life, but that's the old story. It's like, you've heard that story before for sure. You can picture it, it's like church, and at the end of the story, you can see the person that was sitting there jealous and having to watch them get married. You can see them like walking out of church bloody, and it's like a Quentin Tarantino. I like that.
I like that too. Okay, last one. Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow I wrote with Jimmy, my keyboard player, and Nolene often, and I had that chorus and that idea, and it was like I think that song started off inspired actually by the Something in the Orange song, that Zach Bryan song. I was like, man, that's just, and it gave me this feeling, and then I was working on Tomorrow, and it was kind of giving me a similar feeling of like, will I see you tomorrow? Are you gonna show up for me? Are you gonna be here? The uncertainty of like just being in a relationship with another human being, and it just morphed into this like, as we wrote and wrote, we dug deeper. It got, dark and sad and deathly. It's kind of a Romeo and Juliet story, that song. And, that was a fun write. We sat at the kitchen table and wrote quite a few songs with Nolene, actually.
Jenna said that was the last one, but I have one that I want to hear about. Alberta Save My Soul.
Yeah, I love that one too. Yeah, that song, that was like one of those, we wrote this in 15 minutes kind of songs. I had a write booked with my friend Drew from Edmonton, and well, he lives in Nashville now, and I was like, let's write, and I was just in a mood. I was just like tired of like the conformity of sitting in the studio I was making the record at that point and doing vocals here, and it was just like so much work and trying to get things right and blah blah blah. I just needed like a quick outlet of expression and randomness. So when I got on the Skype with him, it was like just so fast. I spewed the whole song out right away, basically. And I love that song. I love the idea that you feel safe in your hometown and at home, and kind of going out in the world and just seeing how shitty it can be. It's nice to have a place where you feel comfortable and safe. And that's kind of what that song's about for me.
How did that become something that you decided to raise money and support the Alberta wildfires then?
It was a combination of things. So my idea was that, I was playing that song quite a bit at the start. I think it was after Wedding Day and Broken Hearts was out and were out. And I had these gigs. I was playing like this mayor's thing and this other thing. And I was like, oh, I'll play Alberta because, it makes sense that I'm playing these political functions. And sing a song about the province. And just the response to it was like really strong. And so I was like, I really want to release this song. I think it'll do well. I think people like it. And so I told Jeff, my manager, that, and he was like, well, what can we do? And he started doing research, and he was like, oh, Alberta Day is coming up. That would be a great opportunity to put this song out. And then he was like, what can we do to like, and then I think while we were talking, something happened, and he just saw, the Jasper situation and got the idea to turn it into a whole, campaign and try and help those folks there. So yeah, the idea to put the song out was mine, and then Jeff created all the other parts of what we did there.
You've been working together for quite a while, yeah?
Yeah, 15 years, I think.
Oh, longer than I expected.
That's not what I thought you were going to say either. Wow.
Yeah.
So you know each other quite well. He's like a person in your corner forever, basically. That's really cool that you found somebody who like gets you and can, help.
We kind of grew up in the industry together.
Yeah. Okay. I think I want to end this off with something. One big theme throughout your conversation here has been, I'm going to sum it up to the words of like authenticity to yourself with whatever you're creating, putting the blinders on and making music that matters to you and kind of ignoring that noise. That's a hard thing for people to do. So what is your like little tidbit of advice for artists emerging or emerged and who are like, I want to do this for me, but it's really hard to ignore all of that noise?
Well, I would say that it gets easier when you get older. That's one thing.
Fair.
The other thing is my buddy Mark Spicklock taught me this a long time ago. He said, it's just music. And everyone takes it so seriously. And it doesn't need to be taken seriously. It's just music. And I think that that's really good advice because, it's not your identity. It's not anything. It's just something to be enjoyed. And if you're not having fun, then you need to make a change. If whatever you're focusing on is making you stressed or worried, then you need to shift your focus. I think that staying true to yourself is about being able to hear your gut, really practicing that, being able to listen to it and identify what it's telling you and when it's telling you something, and just trusting it because that's what your truth is, right?
I like that.
That's a great place for us to end it on, I think. Thanks so much, Kyle, for joining us. We really, really appreciate you taking the time on your lazy family Saturday to join us.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thanks for listening to another episode of On the Porch with Front Porch Music. We're so lucky to be able to chat with artists and make episodes like this one. If you like the podcast, remember to rate and review us, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. It's the easiest way to support the show. Remember to check out frontporchmusic.ca to keep up with new music releases, exclusive artist interviews, and more. We'll catch you again on The Porch in a couple of weeks. On The Porch is hosted by Logan Miller and Jenna Weishar, and produced and edited by Jason Saunders. That's me. Our theme song was written, produced, and performed by Owen Wrigley.